Okay, NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. This is the second UK TakeOver. I didn't see the first one, which was in Blackpool, but this definitely fell into a more convenient weekend. I mean, it's not like there's anything else in wrestling going on. Anyway, starting things off, our first match is Noam Dar versus Travis Banks, the Kiwi Buzzsaw. Noam Dar claims he is contractually obliged to have a match at every UK TakeOver, so that's why he's on this. Right off the bat, Dar avoided a leapfrog and tried to get on an ankle lock. Banks took a punch and landed a big kick to Dar's knee. Dar did this move where he draped Banks on the top rope and then hit a springboard lariat. At one point, Dar then hit a snapmare takeover on Banks and sent him into the ring ropes, and Banks actually tweaked his shoulder in the process, was selling a shoulder injury the rest of the match. Banks came back and hit a basement dropkick and followed with a German suplex. Both men tried to put on submission attempts. I think Banks tried to put on, Dar tried to put on Rings of Saturn, and Banks tried to put on sort of a straight jacket. Dar blocked a spin kick and then locked on a knee bar. Dar tossed Banks off the steps and then landed a lariat to the back of Dar's head, or Banks' head, I mean. Banks hit a springboard double stomp. Banks then, they fought on the outside. Banks hit a slice of heaven off the ring barricade. They got into the ring, hit another double stomp, excuse me. Yeah, I'm still fighting a cough. Sorry. And Dar dodged that attack and hit the Nova Rolla for the 3 count in the victory. A good, decent little match to start things off. I don't know exactly what Noam Dar's place in NXT UK is, or in anything really. I mean, he still pops up on 205 Live from time to time as well, so I don't know where everything is exactly situated. I know Travis Banks was getting pushed into the title picture for a while, but I don't know if that's still the case. I mean, he just lost another match, so I don't think that's going to happen for a while. But it was still a decent match. Okay, so on the pre-show, I mean, going into the show proper, it was announced that Cesaro was going to be appearing at the NXT TakeOver and the UK TakeOver. And it turns out he was issuing an open challenge. And during the pre-show, Nigel McGuinness speculated that it might be Kenny Williams, but in reality, it was Ilya Dragovich accepting Cesaro's challenge. Dragovich went to the ring and said he's waiting, so Cesaro came out, and right off the bat, Ilya Dragunov, jumped Cesaro right as the ring bell went off. Cesaro blocked a crossbody. Dragovich fought out of a slam attempt. Cesaro back suplex Dragunov out of the ring. Cesaro really dominated early on. He catapulted Dragunov off the bottom ring rope. Cesaro put Dragunov in the swing. The audience counted up to 40, but I think it was really more like maybe 22. They were counting double on one swing at least a couple of times. Dragunov fought out of a crossface and hit the 6-1 line. That's his. He starts to do the, I think it's the tiger tease, the swinging part of the 6-1-9, but then he comes out and hits a clothesline out of it instead of a spin kick. Dragunov hit a gut wrench throw and then followed that with a suicide dive. Cesaro came in, hit the go to sleep in the European uppercut, rolling for a 2 count. Dragunov fought out of that and hit a Death Valley driver into the turnbuckle and followed that up with a senton from the top rope. But Cesaro got up and hit the neutralizer for the 3 count and the victory. Really, obviously, Cesaro, a great worker, so it actually calls back to, the first NXT TakeOver where Cesaro was feuding with Sami Zayn, and it's kind of that similar thing where it's like, this guy you shouldn't really have a chance against a decorated champion like Cesaro is pushing him to his limit. And afterwards, Cesaro threatened to jump Dragunov, but then shook his hand instead. So everything went good after that. Okay, our next match is the triple threat match for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. The grizzled young veterans of Zach Gibson and James Drake take on the Gallus representatives of Wolfgang and Mark Coffey and Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, two Welshmen for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. It's not an elimination. There's no champion's advantage. It's one fall to a finish, and there's only two teams being represented in the ring at one point in time. So basically, it's just two men, and then if the other team wants to enter, they have to be tagged in. Anyway, Gibson from Grizzled Young Veterans and Andrews started things off. Andrews and Webster were in the match the most. Gallus was kind of barely in it, unfortunately. Gibson rolled through an arm drag and hit a hammerlock. Webster hit a jumping drop kick on the Wolfgang. Morgan and Andrews hit flying moves off the apron to, I believe, was both members of Gallus. Drake dropped Webster with a discus forearm. Morgan and Andrews hit planches on both their opposing tag teams. Gallus hit a catapult Samoan drop onto Andrews. Andrews and Webster hit a flying knee reverse Rana on Wolfgang. Andrews hit a shooting star press on all four men on the outside. I'm sorry, all four opponents on the outside. Stank cough. Gallus then kind of waited for the Grizzled Young Veterans and the Welshmen to take each other out, and they then managed to get themselves into the ring. It seemed like that was where it would go their way, but the Grizzled Young Veterans take out Gallus with a devastation. They took out Wolfgang, I believe, with a devastation device on the outside of the ring, and the other, the Welshman hit a couple of moves, and then they knocked out Mark Coffey, and that enabled the Grizzled Young Veterans to blind tag Coffey to get back into the match. There was Mark Andrews hit the Stun Dog Millionaire on both men, but Gibson broke the pin-up attempt by pulling the ref out of the ring. The Grizzled Young Veterans hit their finisher, which is the Ticket to Mayhem on, I think it was Webster, but then Andrews got up and hit a shooting star press from the top rope to break the pin, and also to enable Webster to cover for the 3 count of victory to win the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. Obviously, the crowd in Cardiff, Wales is going crazy for the hometown boys winning the championships. This was a heck of a match, a lot of great high spots, did a good job of telling the story. You got over all 3 teams as believable. I mean, kind of the story going into this is the 2 Welshmen kind of wanted in on the match. They had to win separate singles matches against one member of the opposing teams, and they managed to do that. So they got in, they won, so you get the good story, and everyone gets to go home a little bit happy at least. Okay, our next match is the last man standing match between Dave Mastiff and Gallus member Joe Coffey. Coffey came out with a chain to try to attack Mastiff. It didn't work right off the bat. And then we got to the moment everyone's going to talk about this match, which is Mastiff whipped Coffey into the corner, and the corner turnbuckle just popped right off and flew across the ring. And you could have heard a pin drop when that happened. Like the whole crowd was like, I'm sure it was rigged to do that, but man, it still caught everyone off guard. Mastiff then took some padding off of the brace for the turnbuckle and put it into Coffey's mouth, and then drove Coffey face first off of the mat. The men fought to the outside. Coffey got a pool cue from somewhere and began beating Mastiff with it. Coffey set up a table. Mastiff got the chain and then whipped Coffey with it. Mastiff got out a cricket bat and whipped Coffey with it. Coffey managed to send Mastiff through the table. Mastiff hit a cannonball through another table. They got out, fought into the crowd. Coffey hit a discus punch, which was chain assisted. Both men then grabbed chairs and did kind of cross bodies into each other. They fought back to the announce table. Mastiff hit a rolling senton in the announce table. Both men barely beat the 10 count. They then fought up to where the pre-show set was, and Mastiff headbutted Coffey, and both men fell off the top of the set and through a couple of tables. They were using some travel cases for the sound equipment to try to get themselves to their feet, but Coffey just barely beat Mastiff and kicked out the one that the travel case that Mastiff was using to send Mastiff back down to win the match. Boy, this was a car crash and a half. I told you before about the spot with the turnbuckle, and there was a lot of wild stuff after this. So, I mean, to start with that and somehow get crazier and crazier. This thing was almost the match of the night so far, but there's one more that was a little bit better than that. Still, I am surprised Coffee won. I guess they're going to drag this out a little bit further. I don't know how much further, but definitely kind of surprised there still. Okay, our next match is the NXT UK Women's Championship match. Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray. Right after the bell rung, Ray basically tried to play possum. She rolled out of the ring, lured Toni Storm outside, who Storm dove through the ring and hit dove through the ring ropes. I mean, and both women began brawling. At this point, Storm hit a kind of a forward suplex onto Ray, and then we get this weird moment where Storm is already emotionally exhausted from this, because the storyline going into this is Kaylee Ray is a longtime friend who suddenly turned her back in the name of the championship. He was acting more aggressive. Called out that Toni Storm's father abandoned her and her family, and no one in her family talks to her because they don't approve of the wrestling. And suddenly, that's where the emotions start to get to Toni Storm, and she's already crying at this point. It's like, we're only 3 minutes into the match. Like, I'll get to the problem with that when we finish up here. Storm did come back, hit a German suplex and a headbutt, followed by her finisher, the Storm Zero, but it was only a 2 count. Ray came back, hit 2 super kicks and a gory bomb, only for a 2 count. They brawled on top of the ropes. Storm basically fought off a superplex attempt, and instead of going for a sunset flip power bomb, she went for a German suplex move off the top rope. Ray came back and hit a senton bomb to the outside of the ring, and then Ray hit a super kick and 2 gory bombs. She hit the first gory bomb, and Storm hit the ring ropes, fell back into Ray. She hit a second gory bomb for the 3 count and the victory. This match, it wasn't bad, but it was underwhelming. Like, I think they went to the idea that Toni Storm got emotionally exhausted a little too early. Like, I guess they were trying to save a little bit of time for the next match, but this thing just seemed rushed, and it didn't quite work out as well as it did. I mean, it was cool to see Kaylee Ray win. I mean, I kind of like when they build these sort of storylines. It was eerily reminiscent of the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens storyline, where it's like, it's not you, it's just business type storyline where, look, I'm going for that championship because that's what you do. You put aside friendship and that happens. And, exactly. Like I said, like, Storm should have probably hit a few more moves and really been pushing herself to, fighting the urge to not do anything dirty and take out her friend. That's where that should have come in. And that happened way too early in the match. Like, maybe if it had been longer, they could have told the story better. And that leads us into our main event, the NXT UK Championship Match, Walter versus Tyler Bate. Walter, since winning the championship at the TakeOver Brooklyn 4 TakeOver New York, whatever it was before WrestleMania, I can't remember what it was called. Since then, he has formed his own faction, his own German faction, which is a reincarnation of his faction from his federation in Germany, Rheinkampf. In this case, it's called Imperium. It's Marcel Barthel, Alexander Wolf, and Fabian Eichner. And now they've been feuding with the British strong-style contingent of Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and Pete Dunne. And they attacked. Now Dunne's kind of gone off to NXT proper, feud with Velveteen Dream. So now it's basically, and Mustache Mountain got attacked. They got jumped. Tyler Bate got injured. He then came back to challenge Walter for the championship. And right off the bat, Bate tried to use his size to his advantage. Tried to do a lot of dodging and striking, Bate bridged out of a test of strength type pin. The crowd was chanting "Walter is a wanker" the whole time, and Tyler Bate, Bate hit a body slam and followed with a flying forearm. Bate went for a Hurricane Rana. Walter blocked a suicide dive and powerbombed Bate on the ring apron. Walter powerbombed Bate off the ring post after that. Walter wrenched Bate's neck. He went for a lot of sleeper holds and rest holds and face locks, because that's what Walter does, and he does so well. Bate tried to do a fireman's carry but collapsed. Walter hit a running bonsai drop. Walter hit a top turnbuckle. He used the top turnbuckle for a backbreaker submission. Like, he put his foot on Bates' jaw and just braced Bates' back. Well, it was just nasty looking. And Bate then managed to fight back, get an exploder suplex off the ring apron to the outside of the ring. Walter blocked a crossbody with a big chop and locked on a Boston Crab, which he changed into the crossface. Bate got into the ropes. This is where Bate really hits his big second win. He hits a big delayed suplex. He hits another exploder suplex. Bate fought off a power bomb into an air raid slam. Bate hit a headbutt with Walter on the top rope. Bate then hit a super exploder. Bate then caught Walter in with a punch. Walter fell backwards. He actually fell back onto Tyler Bates' injured back. So you have Bate kind of sawing, trying to get free. It's not pinned because Bates lying face down, not face up. So Walter countered a clothesline with a body slam. Bate got up, managed to get the airplane spin, and then hit an inverted DVD. He came back, he hit the Tyler Driver 97. Bate then hit a corkscrew splash, but that enabled Walter to lock on rear naked choke. Bate managed to get to the ropes. He fought out of the rear naked choke a couple of times. Walter locked it back on. Walter hit a dragon suplex on the apron, followed with a top rope splash only for a 2 count. Walter hit a jackknife pin power bomb. Tyler Bate kicks out at 1. Walter then gets up. Bates getting up. Walter hits a big lariat for the 3 count in the victory. Walter wins in an amazing match. The one drawback I would say is I did not like the ending too much. You can't have Tyler Bate kick out at 1 and then fall to a lariat. At least have Tyler Bate kick out at 2 on that powerbomb. He kicked out a little too early at the end there. But overall, like I said, it was a spectacular match. Afterwards, Pete Dunne and Trent Seven came out to console Tyler Bate, and basically everyone kind of said goodbye. Like, I don't know if Tyler Bate's leaving, or anyone's leaving, but like, Dunne's over in NXT proper. I wouldn't be surprised if Mustache Mountain went over to NXT proper at some point too. So, but then again, I don't know what they're going to do for the NXT UK Championship right now, because Bate and I'd say Travis Banks are probably the 2 strongest baby faces they have right now. And since Banks just lost, I don't see him jumping right back into the title picture like that. And, you know, Dar's a heel, the Gallus faction are all heels. Yeah, don't really know too much about anyone else, being like a big enough babyface to challenge Walter at this point. The tag team champions, I wouldn't be surprised if they're being used to transition the championships over to Gallus, because both Gallus and the Grizzly Young Veterans are kind of heel teams. So yeah, you don't want to have heel beat heel. That doesn't drum up much interest, so you put it on babyface to ferret the belts over to a heel. But like I said, overall, my only real drawback on this show really was the women's championship match. That fell really flat to me. But still, overall, NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff gets an A. I know that there's the big AEW show this weekend. I know New Japan had a big show this weekend. So if you get the chance, do watch this show. You're going to be more than entertained. Okay, so next video is going to be the It Chapter 2 recap and review. I know I keep saying I'm going to put the dang itinerary. I promise I will try to put the itinerary up soon for the movie reviews. Then after that, it's going to be the random trade review on Craven's Last Hunt. The next wrestling show is going to be Clash of Champions. I will probably do the first live USA, not Fox, like you previously said, USA, broadcast for NXT. And maybe, like I said, I'll probably do the first AEW TNT show. Maybe also the NXT show that airs concurrent to that. It'll obviously be a little bit after that. See you all next time. Guys, are you tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me expand my wrestling coverage? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. Also, remember, if you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.